Yes, today we're going to talk about the importance of habits, routines, and rituals. So let's just make something abundantly clear to you all, and that is that at no stage in any of Megan's journey did she ever count calories, restrict carbohydrates, or any other source of nutritious food.
I couldn't give a shit how many calories I was eating. I've never been one to watch that. No.
In fact, she'd probably increase them, if anything.
Yeah.
So when you have the right habits, routines, rituals, environment, all of those things in place, you'll stay in total control of your energy intake and your nutrition intake without having to count things every single day, have targets to meet, and all
Weigh
this
things every day,
all this busy stuff in your mind. Because what we know about human behavior is you'll only do that surface level shit for so long, and then you'll fall back into your old habits. So this is for life, ladies. This is something that we want to instill in you. You want to change permanently. These are the things you need to focus on to do that. You'll have a lot of noise surrounding you and people telling you, oh, you should be counting this, you should be doing it this way, you should be cutting this out. Just remember that they're doing it for the short term. They're not doing it for the long term, and they may be able to keep it up for a few months, a few years, but eventually they'll get to a point where everything will crumble around them and they'll just lose their shit.
Too hard basket. So you need to kind of, when you've taken on this to work with us, you need to put your blinkers on and block out the noise.
And not listen to anyone else. We're your coaches. We're going to point you in the right direction. And that right direction is here. So a habit essentially is a cycle within your brain. A cue gets set off, right? An action is played out, and then you get a reward for it. We talk about this a lot in habit cycles and in breaking habits. I won't go into too much of that today, but just know that the easiest way to create new habits is to take out old habits and replace them with a better one. So that's what we'll be working on.
Rather than trying to cut it cold turkey, you replace one of those cues, routines.
And essentially that's what the whole coaching method is behind the Fit Mum method, is looking at something and swapping it out for
and
something
improving
better.
it. Yes.
So eventually what happens is, after the how many amount of days science wants to call it these days, is they come out with, like, it takes 7 days to make a new habit, 21 days, all this stuff. Regardless of how long it takes, eventually what tends to happen is you fall into a routine. And that's when things start to feel good. You know, the habit.
It becomes an action without thought.
Yeah. And then you get to the point where they become rituals. And this is the best phase, because when they become rituals, not only are they actions without thought, but you cannot live without it. There's something missing.
Yes,
when you
feel like there's something missing in your life if you haven't performed that type of ritual. Like, for instance, brushing your teeth. So most people, and all people, I hope, because I'm really finicky about this one, is brushing your teeth. Right, so you can't go out without brushing your teeth, or you can't go to bed at night without brushing your teeth. That is a ritual. So it should be the exact same when you're applying your Fit Mum nutrition, or your Fit Mum habits and your Fit Mum routines. You want it to become a ritual so bad that when you get up in the morning, as an example, you get up in the morning and you go straight to the kitchen and you cook up your FDN, whatever it is, your fast, delicious, nutritious breakfast. That is the ritual, no matter what happens. And it's just the same as you get up, you have breakfast, and you brush your teeth, ready to go out the door.
Yeah.
This needs to become part of that ritual, which you cannot live without.
Yeah. And I suppose when you think of a kid developing that brushing the teeth habit, standing in front of the mirror for 2 minutes is like the longest pain in the ass time ever. You need timers and all sorts of things.
And you need someone to tell you and remind you.
Yes.
And
you need your mum to say, make sure you're there for 2 minutes brushing your teeth.
Well, we're your mum right now. So when you wake up in the morning, or when you go to do food prep or something, like the habit that you want to create, think of us in the back of your head nagging you that you need to do it before this becomes a ritual, before it becomes part of your routine and your ritual.
But eventually what happens is you have those drawbacks of not brushing your teeth. Like, you know, starting to date, you've got bad breath. You know,
going to the dentist and having plaque all over your teeth, having to get fillings, root canal, teeth falling out, and paying like it's expensive. If you go to the dentist and you haven't looked after your teeth, then you know, be prepared to pay the big bucks to get it fixed. And it's the same as your health.
Yeah, and some people don't brush their teeth regularly well into adulthood, and they need a couple of scares from the dentist to actually get them to get their shit together. And your ability to focus on this stuff will come down to how many mistakes it takes you to make and how much pain you have to be caused to actually do these things.
To have a snapping point and get into this.
Exactly, yeah.
And the same as like right now you're doing it, and it might be painful and it might be a pain in the ass and annoying, but if you develop those habits and those rituals and routines and then you pass them down to your children, then they just become like brushing their teeth.
And that's eventually the end goal, isn't it? To have your kids adult better than you did. You know, sometimes there'll be times where you can't food prep. Hey.
Yeah, so there was times when I was severely sleep deprived and I had chronic fatigue and I was looking after two children and I just breastfeeding and I just didn't. I was sick and I didn't have the energy to food prep. It was the last thing I wanted to do, but I still like eating. I still want to eat.
Yeah.
So I had to call upon my partner and say, hey, can you help me out? Even though, you know, I don't really have to ask, you do it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's an example of that's what you're going to have to do. If there's times where you cannot do it yourself, and I know that with little children especially, it's hard. So that's when you have to call upon your loved ones, your support system. And if you explain to them how important it is to you and they realize how important it is to you, then they will do it for you out of love. And that just should be a given, because you're a team, you're in a household, and everyone is being affected by it. So whether your house turns to shit, your whole family is affected by it, or whether, you know, your house is on point where you've got your healthy habits at bay, you've got your food prepping, you've got your family activities, you've got your activities going on, you've got your health, that all ricochets through the entire family. So we're a team.
Yeah, I know I used to shove food in Megan's face after food prepping, you know, just to get food into her, because I obviously you know, wanted the best for Logan, but I wanted the best for Megan as well. She was there feeding Logan, and she was there tired, all that kind of things. So maybe you do need to create links between the way you're feeling, having that help, and how much that'll help you and make you feel better, and the reward that's there for them as well. So yeah, as we've said, it's not an easy process getting the loved ones involved, but having those frank, honest conversations is what eventually gets the tide to turn, and for everybody in the household to move benefit in the same direction as you.
Yes.
There was the only other thing I wanted to say was, you know, the feeling that we get when we're not food prepped and we don't have a fridge full of food is, it feels like something's missing from our life, doesn't it?
Yeah, and 100%. We don't perform as well. Our life just doesn't seem in order, or you know, we don't feel in control in our life, and it'd just be the same as you know, any other analogy like brushing your teeth or whatever it is that is a ritual that you just cannot do without. That's the feeling that you want to get when this starts to become routines and habits and rituals.